you any closer to cracking the code of the team? It seems to be sort of week to week. We're not quite sure what we're going to get out of them. Are you in the same position?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a great series so far because obviously we've had both teams really going for it. Played some great cricket and obviously some not so great cricket at times. So I think it's made for a really entertaining series. But India at times have proven a real tough nut to crack. I think today in particular they've showed us why. They are arguably the number one team in the world. An outstanding bowling performance there, and it seems that they get half an opportunity and they push the door open and go for it. And it's something that I'm obviously watching that, trying to learn from, and hopefully something we can instill into our team over a period of time. But they were certainly impressive today.
Do you think obviously in the winter they beat you with spin conditions. Do you think they're a better team in English conditions too, with the way they go business?
I think they've certainly improved. If you look from the last time they were here, I think it's 2018 to where they are now. As a team, you can see they've improved. Their seamers are high quality. So I think they've obviously gone away, learned, become stronger. Obviously, that obviously doing them a world of good. They did beat us with spin in the winter, which was completely alien to us. With the amount of spin that we faced out there. But I've got to again give them some credit, especially their seamers, the way that they've come and obviously held the line of length, just as we try and do in this country. But equally, their opening batsmen, I think they've left exceptionally well and made us bowl well at them. So again, not wanting to sort of big India up too much, but they've obviously learned from being here in the past experiences and put that into action. Really, and making life hard for us.
You said the other day. You've got to be really careful not to break Jimmy. Are we close to breaking point with Jimmy and Ollie with the number of overs they've put in the list?
Well, I think they've been exceptional. Not all the seamers yet. We've put a shift in this game. But if you look at the amount of work that the two that you just mentioned have done. I'm proud of the way that they've contributed to the game and the way that they've gone about the business and the effort they've put in for the team. It's something that obviously we've got to keep an eye on. But equally, we needed to try and win this test as well to put our best foot forward going into the next one. So we had to have a good crack at them.
If I can just go off topic very slightly to get a sort of bit of clarity, we know the T20 squad coming. Do you have any certainty at this stage, or are you 40 hours away from that point that where Ben Stokes sits, and if he is going to be available to you at any point?
No, we're going to leave that one late, to be honest. To give us our best chance. Whatever support Ben needs, he will get from us.
Chris, just picking up on the James Anderson point, will it be his decision? And also, will you take into account the fact, I guess he's not played county cricket, and then there's a gap now between the Ashes? How are you balanced?
Sorry, I lost you there. Can you say that again, please, James?
Yeah, I'm just wondering with the decision on whether to rest James Anderson, it would be his call. Will you ask him, and how much of will you take into account the fact that he's not played county championship cricket, and there is a big gap now as well before the Ashes?
I think it's certainly a discussion that he and I will have together. He will have input into that without a shadow of a doubt. Obviously James knows his own body, and he will certainly give me an honest opinion of where he's at, and it's certainly one that I will listen to. We have got a little bit of time now between this game and the next one. I know what he's like. He won't want to miss any cricket, but again, we've got to make sure that we look after him. And although there is a gap between obviously the final test and winter in front of him, he's certainly somebody that I want to make sure. Fit.
And with Mark Wood fully fit and him maybe able to add that sort of X factor in terms of a bit of extra pace, does he come back for Old Trafford?
Well, he certainly comes back into contention about that. We have got some bodies up there, I'm not going to lie. So we've got to obviously keep an eye on that. But he would come back. He comes back, he'll obviously have that pace for us. And if the pitch is abrasive like it usually is at Old Trafford, then obviously the reverse swing will come in for him as well, which will be useful for us. But he's certainly back in contention for the next test.
And the game swung today on the afternoon session. 6 wickets went down when England were under pressure. How concerning is it that that sort of collapse in those circumstances? Joe talked about ruthlessness.
Yeah, I mean, we do look at that. I mean, we've got to recognise situations. I mean, first and foremost, I think, the spell from Bum River was as good a spell of test bowling as you're going to see. But at the same time, if we want to be where they are, we've got to be able to recognise those situations. We've got to counter those situations and get through that spell of bowling and obviously move on to the next one. That spell there, he blew us away with that one and made life very difficult for us. Joe was saying it was an excellent spell of bowling, but it's certainly something that we have to learn to come moving forward, really recognise those situations and get through them. I think that's what being ruthless is all about.
And when the ball didn't move and the pitch flattened, some pundits, former captains, have criticised a lack of use of the spinners. What did you make of the use of spin in that game? And is that something you can learn from going forward?
Well, it's something, obviously, we always sit back and reflect on everything we do, whether it's good, bad, whether it's gone well or it hasn't gone well. But certainly what I will say to this is that, Joe is out there, he's making decisions, and I support him fully in the decisions he makes. So he's the one that's out there, on a cold face, so to speak, and he's got to go with his gut instincts of what he feels is right at any given point, and that's what he did.
Just to go back to the question of whether it is available or not for the World Cup. Is that line of communication with him open at the moment? So have you had any conversations over that yet?
I haven't spoken to him just as yet. I'm giving as much space as I can, but there are people talking to him sort of outside of me. But it's certainly something that we'll be revisiting shortly. But like I say, I will be putting no pressure on him. I will not be rushing him, and whatever support he needs, he will get.
And understandably, like you say, you've not been putting any pressure on him, but does there come a point this week where you do need an answer from him, and how do you go about getting it?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, my only concern is for him, to be honest. I just want to make sure he's okay. And that's the starting point I will be at. And once we've got to that, then obviously the rest of the questions will come. But first and foremost, I need to make sure he's okay. That's my concern.
And just lastly, do you know if Josh Butler will be available for Old Trafford? And if he is, have you got a decision to make with Ollie Pope, obviously making runs here?
Josh will be available for Old Trafford. And yes, there will be a decision have to be made. So we'll be making that over the next few days.
What's your early thoughts?
I'm going to keep that to myself for the moment. I'll see how we all pull up tomorrow. I'm going to have a sleep on it, and then I can obviously make decisions from there. Myself and Joe can have a talk and make a decision.
Yeah, Stefan's last asked questions I was going to ask, but just to clarify, are you announcing the squad for the last test tomorrow in that case?
I'll be looking at that tomorrow. I've already looked at the squad, so we'll be getting something out very shortly.
I mean, will Josh Butler be in it?
Yeah, Josh Butler's available.
Hi, Chris. Could you give us any sense of what you know about the COVID outbreak among India coaches? Have you guys had to be extra vigilant over the last couple of days? Couldn't really see whether the teams have properly shook hands today. Obviously, there might have been some contact there. Have you been extra careful?
We have been, obviously. I mean, first and foremost, I hope the guys that obviously have COVID are fine and well, and obviously wish them a speedy recovery. Basically, we've just made sure that we're doing all our things correct, as we always do. Make sure that we're looking after our environment, and then all being well, that gives us the best chance of staying COVID free. And it was fist pumps tonight.
Is there any suggestion that we should be worried about whether the final test might actually go ahead?
No, as far as I'm concerned, from what I'm hearing, the final test will go as ahead as planned. And we're looking forward to it, because obviously we want it to go ahead, because we want to bounce back, and we want to even this series up.